Hi there, everyone. I'm meteorologist Ashley Baylor with a check of your latest forecast. Well, the tropics remain clearly a very hot topic of discussion, and it will remain the case for at least the next week because even once we can put Hurricane Jose in our rearview mirror, Hurricane Maria coming up right behind it. And we do have to focus on Maria because it could take a very similar track to what we're experiencing with Hurricane Jose right now. We have Hurricane Jose out there. We have Hurricane Maria as well, getting ready to actually make landfall in the coming days over the Lesser Antilles, the islands that absolutely cannot afford another hurricane making landfall there. Behind that, we have Tropical Depression Lee, and Lee is expected to remain a tropical depression or even, lose some energy from there and become a subtropical depression. And it's not going to affect any land, so I'm really not going to focus any time on that. I really have to focus most of my attention on Hurricane Jose and Hurricane Maria. So Jose right now, winds are sustained at 90 miles per hour, continues to move due north at 9 miles per hour. So right now it's not really wobbling east or west, so that's great news for us. As long as it continues due north and stays a couple hundred miles offshore, then the effects here will be relatively minimal. Right now, the main effects we are going to be focused on is the fact that we will likely experience nuisance to minor tidal flooding going from late Monday on into Wednesday morning, so during quite a few high tide cycles there. And of course, we'll also be concerned with a rough surf and a high risk of rip currents, not only as Jose makes the pass from North Carolina into Virginia, but then eventually going into next week, even once the sun comes back, the rip current risk will remain high. So here's a look at the latest forecast track for you, and it is expected to remain a Category 1 hurricane all the way into Monday afternoon. So it makes its pass offshore of North Carolina and Virginia going from Monday on into Tuesday. Even by Tuesday afternoon, it will remain a Category 1 hurricane as it makes the approach to southern New England. Now you can see as it moves into the cooler New England waters here, it will likely lose a little bit of energy. So it could potentially still be a strong tropical storm as it kind of curves away from southern New England, but tropical storm watches have been posted up and down the East Coast. Now notice we do have a tropical storm warning that has been posted just offshore of the Outer Banks. It's not for Dare County, it's just offshore. And then we have these tropical storm watches in this peach color that extends all the way from far northeast parts of North Carolina all the way to southern New England. And as I said, New England's really going to feel most of the effects here. You can see actually those tropical storm watches move farther inland. So even places inland, even as far inland as potentially Hartford and again the Cape and the islands, those are the places that could feel tropical storm effects there. Tropical storm conditions. Here's a look at our future track forecast. So a little bit closer to home, you can see that we will be contending with the cloudy skies out there tomorrow, and we'll start to tap into some of the outer bands associated with Jose as it makes its pass here. We'll actually keep the chance of showers in the forecast going from Monday night all the way into Tuesday morning, so suffice to say you will want to keep your umbrella on standby. And even through the day on Tuesday, we could continue to tap into some of those outer bands, so even all the way through Tuesday afternoon, we could still have a few passing showers out there. And of course, it's still going to be heavily dependent on just how close the eye can actually come to shore. Any shift of let's say 30, 40, 50 miles, that can make a big difference in our forecast. As far as the wind goes, winds on Monday will be out of the northeast at about 10 to 15 miles per hour, and then by the time the storm passes, winds will actually shift out of the northwest on Tuesday between about 10 to 20 miles per hour. And so you would think that would actually keep the risk of any tidal flooding away, but that actually won't be the case. The chance of tidal flooding will still be there. So we're looking at the possibility of nuisance tidal flooding going into high tide Monday evening at about 8:45. Water levels come up to about 4.4 feet, so right on the line between nuisance to minor tidal flooding. Minor tidal flooding, a safe bet going into Tuesday morning at 9 o'clock with water coming up to about 4.6 feet. Tuesday evening, 9:30, nuisance tidal flooding expected, and then nuisance tidal flooding again right around 10 o'clock Wednesday morning. So if you live in an area that's prone to tidal flooding, you kind of know what to expect with this. Now here's a look at the latest track on Maria for you. It is expected to strengthen into a Category 2, almost borderline Category 3 hurricane as it makes the pass over the Leeward Islands in the Caribbean. As I said before, thanks to Irma, this is a place that really cannot afford another hit by a hurricane, but unfortunately, that remains pretty consistent. It will likely pass over Puerto Rico as a major Category 3 hurricane and then turn just north of the Dominican Republic towards the Bahamas. As I said before, this could very well take a very similar track to what we saw with Hurricane Jose. Let's show you things into motion. This is actually going to be over the next 10 days. The American model, otherwise known as the GFS in the pink here, and the European model in the white. Watches Jose comes north and can kind of curve back around as it loses energy and just becomes an area of low pressure. But then watch what happens. Maria starts to come up, and that could actually kind of come close to the east coast as well. So it could take a very similar track to Jose, but that's still, 10 days out. So much can change between now and then. But it's very interesting to see that that is in the realm of possibilities. And it's also the reason that we are going to be talking about Maria a lot once we can actually get rid of Jose. But it's possible we may be looking at the remnants of Jose and Hurricane Maria right off the coast, right off the east coast at the same period of time. Here's a look at your 7-day forecast. So finally by Wednesday, yes, we will be back into the sunshine, and we'll keep lots of sunshine in the forecast all the way through next weekend. But of course, that risk of recurrence remains all the way through next weekend. Something to keep in the back of your mind if you're heading out to the beach. Temperatures will range from the low to mid 80s.